Hi there, it's Thomas George and welcome to this audio recording class. I'm an online educator who specialises in audio and music production, and I've now created over 1,000 videos online. So in this class, I'm going to teach you some tips and techniques so you can record high quality audio at home. I've created this class for beginners, so no previous experience of audio production is needed to follow along with any of the lessons. So this class may be perfect for you if you're a beginner video maker or podcaster and you want to learn how to record high quality audio at home. So we're going to start off this class by looking at room treatment, and then we'll look at audio recording equipment such as microphones and audio interfaces. After this, we'll look at monitors and headphones, and then we'll have a look at some recommended audio recording software. And then we have a behind the scenes tour of the audio recording equipment I use to record my videos. So by the end of this class, you should have a clear understanding of recording high quality audio at home. Also for your class project, I want you to use the tips and techniques that I teach you throughout this class and apply it to your own audio recordings. Okay, so let's get started and I'll see you in the first lesson. Okay, the next point I want to look at is listening to your audio environment. So when you're in a room, I want you to listen to the ambient sound. So I want you to stop this video right now and just listen to the sound of your room. So you may hear birds outside, you may hear cars go past if you're by a road, you may hear your computer fan. If you're near the kitchen, you may hear your refrigerator, you may hear a radiator, you may hear air conditioners, all these different things that pick up in your room. You just need to be aware of the ambient sound. You want to try and reduce all these outside noises, all these noises as much as possible. So you really want to think, how noisy is it outside? Can you control any of this? So you buy a main road, like I said, there can be cars go past that can pick up on your audio recordings. We're going to look at microphones later on, but there's certain type of microphones that are more sensitive than others, but we'll look at that a bit later on. Okay, you also need to think about when are the quiet times. For example, if you live by a main road, rush hour, you may want to avoid recording when there's loads of cars going past. So maybe later in the evening could be a very good time to record. For example, I'm recording this video right now at 10 p.m. And where I live, 10 p.m. is a great time. It's not noisy at all. But during the day, there could be neighbours outside having a barbecue, being noisy, cars driving past. Especially at home, if you're not in a soundproofed room, you really need to think about the best times to record your audio. You also need to think about your computer fan. I have a desktop computer and it's quite noisy, especially if I have any screen recording software going. Anything like that, the fan can spin quite a lot. But if you listen now, you can't hear the computer fan. I do have some post-production processes on my audio right now, but you can't hear the computer fan. And what I actually do is, one little trick is, I actually put my computer in a cupboard. So I have long cables running around my room and I have my computer in a cupboard. And when I record, I close the doors of the cupboard. And then I have foam on the outside to kind of reduce the sound even more. And then when I'm not recording, I open the doors of the cupboard so it doesn't overheat, so the computer can get circulation. But there's certain tricks you can do. I know some people that put blankets over the computer. You only want to do this for a short period of time. For a long period of time, this can cause problems. But when you're recording, there's certain things you can do. One big problem I hear all the time is the fan sound from a laptop. So many people will record a video on the laptop. They have the microphone right in front of the laptop, and it's just picking up all the sound from the laptop fan. So really what you want to do, you want to move your computer as far away from your microphone as possible, really, so you're not picking up that sound, or at least don't want your microphone pointing towards the laptop sound, because that fan sound can really pick up. I hear it all the time. There are certain mixing processes you can do to help reduce that sound, but really, like I said earlier, you want to make sure the audio sounds as good as possible. So just be aware of the computer fan. Next one is air conditioner or radiator. So the room I'm recording in now does have a radiator. I live in the UK. It can get quite cold, but we do have radiators in the room. I know many places don't, but I make sure I turn the radiator off when I record. If you're in a hotter climate, you may have air conditioner. Obviously, make sure you have your air conditioner turned off before you record. Next one is the fridge. If you're in a studio apartment or if you're near a kitchen, there may be a slight buzzing sound of the fridge. I've done recordings before where I've had to unplug the fridge because that buzzing sound can pick up. So just be aware, just listen to those ambient sounds. And of course, there is other outside noise. There's certain things you can't control, like your neighbours making noise. But like I said before, certain times of the day can really help with this. Okay, now let's look at how can you improve your audio recording environment. So we're going to look at room treatment tips now. The first thing is, though, you must be able to hear these issues before you try and fix them. So I want you to actually listen to the sound of your room. Speak in your room now. Speak quite loud. Can you hear the reverberated sound? So can you hear the sound of your voice bouncing off the walls and coming back again? So when you speak, the audio from your voice, so the sound from your voice is going off into the wall and bouncing back at different directions before it comes back and hits your ears. And the longer it takes to come back and hit your ears, the bigger the reverb. And also the harder the surface is, the harder it'll bounce off the walls and come back again. But if you can soften these walls, if you can soften these surfaces, then the reflections won't be as harsh, and the reverb or the big echo sound, it won't be as harsh. And really, when you're recording voiceovers, you want a dead sound. If you're singing, you might want some nice reverberated big sound, but for voiceover work, for podcasts, for tutorials, really you want a dry, dead sound. And the best way to do that is to treat your room. Okay, so like I said, you want to listen out for those echoes or the reverb of the room. So what you can do is you can do a clap. If you hear a big reverberated sound, clapping back, you know there's some issues. If the clap and it's very dead, then you know, yeah, maybe this room is pretty good. Generally speaking though, if you buy a big window, if you have a laminate floor, if you have a big tall ceiling, you're going to have a lot of echo, a lot of reverb. You do want to think of treating that or finding ways to reduce that. So you may actually have things around your house already that you can use to actually treat this reverb. So a rug can be great. So if you have a laminate floor, you can put a rug on there and that can absorb some of the sounds. Same with a carpet, really want to record in a room that has a carpet. Also a sofa can be great to absorb some of the rooms, or you can even record it in your bedroom. A bed can be, a great thing to actually absorb some of these sounds. And curtains, you want heavy, thick curtains, especially if you have a big window, because that window can reflect the sound off it and can add to that reverberated, echoey sound, which you really don't want. So make sure when you record, you have the curtains closed, and that can help reduce some of the echo or reverb of your room. Then, of course, you have pro-level acoustic panels and foam. The room I'm in right now, it does have a carpet, but it does have different panels and foam around me. So this can really help for reducing the echoes. If you hear my voice now, you'll notice it's not very echoey, it's not very reverberant. There's no big reverb because I've treated this room. So you want to make sure if you want to record high quality audio, treating your room is the most important thing. It's more important than microphones. You want to make sure your room is treated. That's the main thing I hear time and time again is people don't treat their room properly. They buy a really nice microphone, especially a really sensitive microphone that picks up all of that room sound, and it just sounds like you're recording in a cave, which is really what you don't want. Okay, so now we're going to look at microphones and finding the right microphone for you for recording audio. So we have two microphones we're going to look at. The first one is a dynamic microphone. So these microphones generally are more inexpensive and they're very durable, which means if you drop them, they're probably not going to break. I don't ever recommend dropping a microphone, but they are very tough, durable, and these microphones really are great in bad sounding rooms because they're not as sensitive as the other type of microphone. They pick up a smaller polar pattern. So, for example, this microphone here is a dynamic microphone. It picks up a small pattern around it rather than a more sensitive microphone, a condenser microphone. A dynamic microphone is great really if you have an untreated room, and that way you don't have to worry about it picking up too much of the room sound because it's not quite sensitive, but it being not as sensitive means it doesn't pick up some of the higher tones of the voice. It can sound a bit nicer with the other type of microphone, which is a condenser microphone. So if you hear any pro-level recordings, they'll normally be using a condenser microphone. Because it's more sensitive, it picks up the higher range of the voice, some nicer tones, nicer clarity a lot of the time. But these microphones, as they're more sensitive, they pick up more of the room around them. So they pick up more of the room sound. So if you're in an untreated room, I don't recommend using a condenser microphone. One microphone I hear all the time is a Blue Yeti, which is a fine microphone, it's okay, but I hear people in untreated room use this condenser microphone and it always picks up the big room sound. And I really don't recommend using a condenser microphone unless you've treated your room. So just be careful of that. They are more sensitive as well, and they generally are a bit more fragile than dynamic microphones. And condenser microphones also need phantom power, so an additional 48 volts. But if you have an audio interface, it should have a little button that says plus 48V or phantom power, which you need to turn on if you're using a condenser microphone. So you need to think really, where are you going to be recording? Are you going to be treating your room? Are you going to be treating your room effectively? If you are, then maybe you can consider a condenser microphone. However, if you have a lot of outside noise, if you have aeroplanes go past, or if you have the neighbors having barbecues all the time, or loads of things you can't control, then maybe you want a dynamic microphone. Then maybe it won't pick up some of that outside sound as much as a condenser microphone. But if you have a really well-treated room, it's not very noisy, don't have much ambient sound, then I recommend having a look at condenser microphones. So which pro-level microphones do I actually recommend and do I use? So the first one is the Electro Voice RE20. It's the one I pulled up before. So it's this one here. So I'd say about 80 to 90% of the videos I make are with this microphone, the Electro Voice RE20. So this is a dynamic microphone. However, it's just really durable. It gets the job done. And I can't always control the sound outside. If I've got a good idea in my head and I want to record a video, I don't always want to wait for the evening time to be able to record. I don't always have to have the neighbors to be quiet. Obviously, I can't control people around me, but I don't have to wait for certain things. I can just record when I want. I know it's going to sound good. I probably could get slightly better sound if I used a condenser microphone, but this one, it sounds great. It has that radio tone. It's a very common microphone you see in a lot of podcasts. A lot of radio presenters use this microphone. It's a classic mic. Also has this built-in pop filter here. Also have a pop shield as well, but it's a very good classic microphone, and for my uses, it's great. Also, it's quite good if I travel. If I go somewhere else, I often take this microphone with me because it sounds good pretty much everywhere, which is why I use it. Personally, I'd rather have a microphone sounding good and I can use it whenever I want than a microphone that's great that I can rarely use. And the next microphone is the one I'm using right now, which is the Sennheiser MKH416. This is a classic microphone that's used all the time in Hollywood, in TV shows and documentaries. This is kind of the go-to industry standard shotgun mic, as you will. It is quite expensive. It's around about $1,000 new, so I don't always recommend getting this if you're brand new to making videos or recording audio. But as I do record a lot of videos, and for talking head videos, so videos with a camera like this, I like to use this microphone as I can get it out of shot. And it's just a classic mic, and it has a certain type of sound that people are used to from watching a lot of TV shows, watching documentaries, movies, that kind of stuff. They will often use this mic, and it has a classic sound that I like as well. The next one is your Shure SM7B, which I've got right here. So this microphone is a very standard microphone. You may recognize it from certain podcasts, such as the Joe Rogan Experience, for example. It's a very classic microphone. I personally prefer the Electro Voice RE20 because I do think it captures some of the depth of my voice a little better than this microphone. This one doesn't capture the low end as well as the Electro Voice RE20, but it's still a good microphone. It's a little bit more inexpensive than the Electro Voice RE20, the other microphone we looked at there. To be honest, it looks pretty cool. I think that's why a lot of people use it. And it does have this built-in pop filter as well. This is another standard microphone, classic pro level one that I recommend. Okay, so which budget mics do I recommend and do I use? So the first one is the Shure SM58. So this is a classic dynamic microphone. It's really durable. It's used on stages for music performances. You may see when people do the mic drop, which I hate so much. You should never drop a microphone, but when they do a mic drop, it's normally the Shure SM58. And that microphone will normally survive a mic drop because it's so durable and tough. It's quite inexpensive. It's around about $100 new. However, it doesn't really capture the depth of the voice. It is quite a bright sounding mic. It depends what sound you're after. But to me, it's a little bit too bright, but it does have a built-in pop shield as well, which can be quite useful. So you don't always necessarily need a pop filter or a pop shield with this microphone. It's a great, durable, inexpensive microphone. It's been used so many times for so many years. And for the price, I personally think it's amazing. Next one is a Rode SmartLav Plus. So this microphone is a small clip-on lavalier microphone. And with this, it can actually plug into your smartphone. So this can be useful if you want to record videos and you just want to record them on your phone. You can just plug it directly in and it will sync up with your video on your phone. It's not amazing, but for the size and the price, it is a great microphone. So if you travel anywhere and you've literally just got your pockets, you've got no bag, I recommend just putting in the Rode SmartLav Plus, then you can always film a video with audio that sounds pretty decent whenever you want. Like I said, it's not as good as these larger microphones, but it's going to be better than the mic that's on your phone. So this is one I recommend if you're on a budget and you want to be super portable. And the next one is a Zoom SG-H6, which is this microphone here. It's actually this capsule, which you can put on a lot of these Zoom recorders, including this field recorder, the F1 field recorder, and also the Zoom H6 or the Zoom H5. You can add this microphone onto these different recorders. And this one's good. It's a shotgun microphone. And to be honest, it sounds pretty decent. I've used this many times. So if I'm going somewhere and I don't want to take a laptop with me, I'll often take a field recorder. If it's just myself, I would take this one because it's smaller. If I'm recording, say, a podcast and I want to use this as maybe a backup mic or as an additional microphone, this shotgun mic is actually pretty decent for the price. This is a good, useful microphone. So yeah, this one is good if you want to take any field recorders like the Zoom F1, Zoom H5, Zoom H6. I recommend having a look at the Zoom SG-H6. Hi there and welcome to this video where I'm going to compare the audio of the microphones that we previously looked at. So you can see right now I have a selection of different microphones, and let's now hear what they sound like. Before we get started though, I'm just going to mention I have no processing on any of this audio. So I have no audio plugins apart from gain, so they're at a similar level. Okay, let's look at the first one, which is a Sennheiser 416. This microphone is actually out of shot. So this is a shotgun microphone, most commonly used for video. So you really want to have this mic out of shot, but you want to have it as close as possible so it can sound as good as possible. As it's a shotgun microphone, it only picks up a narrow amount. So if I move to the side like this, you'll notice it doesn't sound anywhere near as good as if the mic is pointing at my mouth. So remember, if you're going to be talking to the side like this, a shotgun microphone isn't going to sound great, but it's good if you can have it pointing at you. Okay, the next microphone is this one here. This is the Electro Voice RE20. This is actually my favorite mic. So this mic I use for any audio recordings where I don't use video. I think this one sounds really good with my voice. I've been using this mic for many years, and this is the sound of the Electro Voice RE20. Okay, next one is this microphone in the middle. This is the Shure SM7B, a very common podcast microphone, a little bit more inexpensive than the RE20. I personally don't think it sounds as good with my voice, but a lot of people do really like this microphone, a very popular one to consider. Okay, going along, we have this microphone here. This is a Zoom SG-H6. So this microphone is a shotgun microphone, and you can attach it to the Zoom handy recorders. So the Zoom H5, the Zoom H6, and the Zoom F1. So this one you can probably hear sounds pretty decent. It sounds pretty good. So if you want to be really portable and you just want to take a handy recorder with you, you don't want to take a laptop or an audio interface, you can consider this shotgun mic, the Zoom SG-H6. As it is a shotgun microphone, you would normally have it out of shot. So let me just move this over so it's out of shot so you can hear what it sounds like now. So you notice it probably doesn't sound as good as before when it was closer, but it still sounds decent. So if you want to be portable and not have to take a laptop or audio interface, then a handy recorder like this is definitely one to consider. Let's just move it back in the shot, and you can probably hear there, it does sound better when it is closer. And again, it's a shotgun mic, so if I move to the side like this, it's not going to sound as good as if it's in front of my mouth. Okay, the next microphone is this one here. This is the Shure SM58. It was originally designed as a handheld microphone for live stage performances. However, you can still use it for recording podcasts or videos. For example, Tim Ferriss uses this for his podcast. This only picks up a small amount as well, so if you're in any noisy environments or untreated room, this is a good one to consider. So if I move this mic to the side like this, you'll notice you can't really hear it at all. So it does have to be pointing at your mouth, and I do recommend having it quite close. So if it's further away like this, you'll notice it doesn't sound anywhere near as good as if it's closer like this. Okay, the next microphone is this lavalier microphone here. So this is the Rode SmartLav Plus. So this actually plugs into your phone. So right now I have it plugged into my phone. You may have to use a dongle like this. Okay, so I'm recording this now on my phone, and this is the audio from the Rode SmartLav Plus. You can probably hear it sounds pretty decent. Maybe not as good as these larger microphones we just looked at, but for being so small and portable, I think it's good. And this is the audio on my phone, so I'm not using the SmartLav Plus. You can probably hear it did sound better before when we used the SmartLav Plus. Okay, so now let's do a quick comparison test on all of these different microphones. So this is an example of me speaking into the microphone. So the audio you can hear right now is coming from the microphone. As you can hear, using a microphone is very important, and I never recommend using the built-in mic on your camera, as it's never as good as using an external microphone. So this is an example of me speaking into the microphone. So the audio you can hear right now is coming from the microphone. As you can hear, using a microphone is very important, and I never recommend using the built-in mic on your camera, as it's never as good as using an external microphone. So this is an example of me speaking into the microphone. So the audio you can hear right now is coming from the microphone. As you can hear, using a microphone is very important, and I never recommend using the built-in mic on your camera, as it's never as good as using an external microphone. So this is an example of me speaking into the microphone. So the audio you can hear right now is coming from the microphone. As you can hear, using a microphone is very important, and I never recommend using the built-in mic on your camera, as it's never as good as using an external microphone. So this is an example of me speaking into the microphone. So the audio you can hear right now is coming from the microphone. As you can hear, using a microphone is very important, and I never recommend using the built-in mic on your camera, as it's never as good as using an external microphone. So this is an example of me speaking into the microphone. So the audio you can hear right now is coming from the microphone. As you can hear, using a microphone is very important, and I never recommend using the built-in mic on your camera, as it's never as good as using an external microphone. Okay, so I personally like the sound of this Electro Voice RE20 with my voice. However, if I'm filming a video and I want to have the mic in shot, I may use the Shure SM7B, as I do think it looks a bit slicker. And if I don't want to have the mic in shot at all, I may use a shotgun microphone like this Sennheiser 416. And if I'm away from the studio and I don't want to take a laptop with me, I will take a handy recorder and I will use this mic here, this Zoom SG-H6 shotgun microphone, as I think this sounds pretty decent. And if I'm traveling and I'm in a really bad room, I may use the Shure SM58, as this can sound good in untreated rooms. And if I want to be super portable, I may use the Rode SmartLav Plus and just record the audio into my phone. Okay, so that is the audio from these different microphones. I hope you found this video useful, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, so now we're going to be looking at audio interfaces. And you may be asking, what is an audio interface and why is it useful? And I'll be explaining this in this video. So an audio interface, firstly, is an analog to digital converter. So you have your microphone, which is an analog signal. You need to get this into your computer. So what an audio interface does is it's essentially a box that converts this analog signal into a digital signal so you can record audio into your computer. An audio interface also has preamps, so the signal you get from your microphone is very quiet. You need an amplifier to turn this up. So your audio interface will have dials on there, which allows you to actually amplify the microphone and make it loud enough so it's at a suitable level for recording audio. And an audio interface allows you to do this. And the other thing is a digital to analog converter. So an audio interface, it converts the analog signal to digital, but then you want to hear that signal back from your computer. So you convert the digital signal from your computer into analog signal, which means you can plug speakers or monitors into your audio interface or headphones. So that is the uses for an audio interface. The first one, analog to digital converter. So the analog from your microphone into your computer, which is digital. You need to convert it. Audio interface allows you to do that. Preamp or an amplifier for your microphones. Microphone has low signal, you need to increase it. Your audio interface allows you to increase it with a preamp. And the third one is a digital to analog converter. So you have the digital signal from your computer, you want to listen to it back. So you can convert that digital signal to an analog signal so you can listen to it with your speakers or your headphones. So you can, of course, plug headphones into your computer via the headphone jack, but oftentimes it will sound better and you have dedicated outputs if you use an audio interface. Okay, so which pro-level audio interfaces do I recommend and do I use? So the one I'm using right now is called the Focusrite Clarett 4 Pre. So this has 4 preamps on it and a really nice, clean sounding preamps. It has a lot of functionalities on this audio interface, a lot of different inputs and outputs on there as well. It's just a generally good studio audio interface. It does require power and it's not very portable. So if you want to travel, I don't recommend this audio interface, but it's a good one I recommend for the studio. Next one is a Zoom H6. So this one we looked at before. It's this field recorder, but it actually doubles up as an audio interface. So you can plug microphones into this and you can record either on the Zoom H6 or you can use it to plug into your computer and use it as an audio interface. So this is a very kind of useful field recorder or audio interface that has many different functions. I also have this Manfrotto Pixie mini tripod and shock mount attached to this Zoom H6. These can be useful when recording audio, but if you're using the Zoom H6 as an audio interface, then you won't necessarily need to use a stand or shock mount like this. And the next one is the Apogee Duet. So it's this audio interface. It's quite small. It's not tiny, but it's definitely an audio interface you can travel with. But the thing I like about this is the preamps are really nice and clean. So if you want a high quality audio interface that you can still travel with, I recommend the Apogee Duet. It has 2 inputs. The only thing I don't like about it is these breakout cables. They can get a little annoying at times, but this is a nice quality audio interface if you want to be lightweight. Okay, so which budget audio interfaces do I recommend? The first one is the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. It's a very solid, common audio interface. I'm sure you've probably seen it before. The only thing I don't like about it is if you put the gain on full, we can get a bit of hiss. So if you are using a dynamic microphone and you put the gain all the way up, can be a little noisy. It's not as clean, for example, as this one, the Apogee Duet, but it's a good one if you're starting off and you don't want to spend too much money. It's a good, solid budget audio interface. But like I said, the preamp can be a little noisy if you crank the gain too high. The next one is your Shure X2U. This is a really small audio interface. And this is really great if you want to be portable because it's so tiny, so portable. And Shure often sell it with the Shure SM58. So if you want to be super portable, Shure SM58, Shure X2U, pair them together so that microphone and this audio interface can work really well. The only thing is, again, similar to the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2, because this is a bit more inexpensive, when you crank the gain on the preamp, you can get a bit of hiss. So if you are using a dynamic microphone and you put the gain on full, you can get some hiss, which isn't ideal. And I actually upgraded from this audio interface to this one here, which is the Apogee One. To be fair, I'm not sure if I consider it a budget one. It is quite a lot more expensive than the Shure X2U, but it does have a really nice microphone preamp. It's just one input, the Apogee One. The Duet has 2. But if I'm recording, say, a tutorial or a video, it's just me speaking, I will take the Apogee One because it's much smaller than the Apogee Duet. But if I'm doing a podcast or a conversation with 2 people, I will take the Duet. But this one, a really nice preamp and really lightweight, so I recommend this if you want to have high quality audio and you still want to be portable. But what about USB microphones? So if you have a USB mic, then you don't necessarily need an audio interface because this USB mic already has an analog to digital converter on it. However, in my experience, the audio is going to sound a lot better if you have an XLR microphone and an audio interface rather than just a USB mic. USB mics, they're just not quite there. If you have a dedicated box that converts the analog signal to a digital signal and an XLR microphone, it's just going to sound better than a USB mic. So yes, a USB mic can be useful if you don't want an audio interface, but no, it doesn't sound as good. Maybe in a few years it will, but right now, a USB mic just not as good as using an XLR mic and going into a high quality audio interface. Okay, so now let's talk about mic positioning and accessories. So the first thing is to put your microphone at an angle. So let's imagine my hand here is a microphone, and I'm going to say this tongue twister. I recommend doing this at home as well. I might mess this up, but Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. So emphasize the P. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. So you can feel the air on your hand when you use those words that have a lot of P in them, P. So that creates plosives. So that's that pop of air, that breath of air you hear. And you often hear it in microphone recordings of like that. It sounds really bad, but if you have your microphone at an angle, you're going to reduce a lot of those plosives. So let's put your hand there again. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. You'll notice then, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. We can't feel the breath of air on our hand as much, so we're really reducing those plosives. So with a microphone like this, you see a lot of podcasts where people have the microphone, right in front of them like this, and you're going to get a lot of plosives. Even with this filter here, you're going to get a lot of plosives. So you really want your microphone like this, at the side here, so when you're speaking, you're reducing those plosives. So that is the first thing I recommend over mic positioning. The next one is to use a pop shield or a filter. Some of these microphones, like this one here, the Shure SM7B, does have this filter on top, but I do recommend using a pop shield as well. This mic does actually have a pop filter, but I double it up with a pop shield. So imagine your hand before. If you have a shield or something in front of it, it's reducing that breath of air, so it's reducing those plosives. So yeah, I do recommend using a pop shield or a pop filter. You can get ones like this that have a bit of material. This one is a metal one. I personally prefer the metal one, but the one with material is fine as well. But definitely get yourself a pop shield or a pop filter. However, if you're using a shotgun microphone like this one here, and it's not up close to your mouth, say 20 centimeters or further, then you don't necessarily need to use a pop shield or pop filter, as the mic is further away and shouldn't pick up many plosives or blasts of air from saying certain words. However, if you have the shotgun mic closer to your mouth, say less than 20 centimeters, then I still recommend using a pop shield or pop filter, as the shotgun mic may pick up plosive sounds or blasts of air from your mouth from saying certain words. The next thing is a shock mount. So notice this microphone here. We have this kind of cage around it. So if I bang on my desk or I knock on the floor, it's actually going to pick up through the microphone. So if I'm banging on the desk, it's going to pick up through this microphone stand. And if the microphone's attached to it, it's going to pick up those vibrations, which you don't really want in your audio. So what one of these shock mounts does is it's basically a cage that holds the microphone, so it's not touching the sides, or as much as possible not touching the sides. And that way, if you have any bangs or bumps or anything like that, it's not going to pick up on the mic as well, and it's going to sound a lot better. Next thing, obviously, a microphone stand. You all need a stand for your microphone. I like these desk stands here, these Rode ones, the PSA1. These are really great. You can move the microphone around. This other microphone I've got on top's on there as well. I've actually got 4 of these stands all around me. And yeah, definitely the microphone stand. You can hold your microphone. Certain microphones like Shure SM58 you can hold. But if you move your hand, you're going to pick up the sound of your hand moving. It's just a lot easier having the stand. I do recommend investing in a good quality stand so you know your mic's not going to fall off or drop. And yeah, it is essential. The next thing is a wind muffler. So if you're recording outside, you want to have a wind muffler. If you're inside, you don't want a wind muffler. It's essentially like a big furry jacket around your microphone that reduces a lot of the wind sound. So you may have seen people on YouTube who film videos by the beach, for example. It's really windy. It sounds like that. It's terrible. So have some kind of wind muffler if you're going to be recording outside. You can even get wind mufflers for lavalier mics, the small clip-on mics, but inside, don't worry about it. Hi there and welcome to this video where we're going to be looking at microphone polar patterns. So a polar pattern really is just how sensitive the microphone is to sound from different directions. So in this video we're going to have a look at some common mic polar patterns, including omnidirectional, cardioid, supercardioid and hypercardioid, and also figure of 8. So let's first have a look at omnidirectional. So we get 2 types of polar patterns really, omnidirectional and unidirectional. So omnidirectional means the sound will be picked up equally all the way around the microphone, and unidirectional means sound will not be picked up equally all the way around the mic. There'll be a certain area or areas that are more sensitive. So the omnidirectional polar pattern is very popular for lavalier microphones like this microphone here, as this cannot point exactly to my mouth, so the sound will be picked up equally all the way around this microphone. Okay, now let's look at cardioid, which is the most popular unidirectional polar pattern. So for example, this microphone here is a cardioid microphone, and it means sound will mostly pick up from the front of the mic and will be rejected from the sides, and the most rejection will be at the back of this microphone. So you can probably hear the audio quite clearly now, and less so now, and even less so now. So a cardioid microphone like this is very useful for rejecting any background sound. For example, if I type on my keyboard, a lot of this sound will be rejected with a cardioid microphone like this one. Okay, now let's look at supercardioid and hypercardioid. Similar to cardioid, the mic will pick up audio from the front, and with supercardioid and hypercardioid, there will be even more rejection from the sides, and it will actually pick up a bit of sound from the rear of the microphone. So this microphone that you can hear right now is a Sennheiser 416. This is a hypercardioid shotgun microphone. Obviously, you can hear the sound right now because it's pointing at my mouth, but if I go to the side, it's rejecting the sound, and if I go to the back, you'll be able to hear it slightly, because hypercardioid and supercardioid microphones are sensitive to sound right at the back of the microphone. But most of the sound will be picked up if you're at the front of the microphone like this. So supercardioid microphones are more directional than cardioid microphones, and hypercardioid microphones are even more directional than supercardioid microphones. And the last polar pattern we're going to look at is figure of 8. So this microphone is also known as a bidirectional, and it picks up equally at the front of the microphone and the rear of the microphone. However, it does reject the sides of the microphone. So think of a cardioid, but picking up equally at the front of the microphone and at the back of the microphone. So this may be useful for a duet, so 2 people singing at the same time, or maybe an interview where there's 2 people speaking and you just want to use one microphone. However, I find it more useful to have separate microphones for each person, then you can mix them independently in post if you wish. Okay, so there are some common microphone polar patterns. To summarize, omnidirectional picks up all the way around the microphone equally, cardioid picks up at the front and rejects the sides, and most rejection at the back. Supercardioid or hypercardioid is more directional than cardioid, so it picks up more of a narrow range and rejects the sides, but is sensitive slightly at the back. And then we have figure of 8, which picks up equally at the front and the rear, but rejects the sides. Okay, so it is useful to know about these different polar patterns before you purchase any microphones, so you know you're getting the right type of microphone for your needs. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it useful, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, so now let's have a look at the recommended monitors and headphones that I use. So firstly, let's look at monitors. So when I say monitors, I mean speakers really. In the audio world, in the music room, we call them monitors. It can get a bit confusing with kind of computer monitors, like the screens, but the speakers. The first one is the Genelix. So these are the ones that I use. They're small desktop ones, and the reason I use them is because I actually have 3 screens. So there isn't that much space for any speakers or monitors. So normally I would have larger monitors above, but as I don't have that much space because I record a lot of videos, screen videos, I have all these computer screens around me. I like these ones because they're still high quality and they can fit on my desk underneath my screens. Next is the Focal Solo 6. These are really high quality monitors. They are a bit more expensive, but these are the ones I used to use when I studied music production at university. We used to use Focal monitors, and Focals are great. They are expensive, but they're really high quality monitors. And next one is the Yamaha HS5. These, I'm sure you've probably seen many times, especially if you're into music production. These are the kind of standard kind of second pair of monitors that people will have. So you have your main monitors, then you have the Yamaha HS5s. So the reason you have a second pair of monitors is so you can check your audio on another pair of monitors, because people listening to your music or listen to your audio aren't necessarily going to have studio monitors. A lot of people are going to be listening on hi-fi speakers, Bluetooth speakers, phones, and Yamaha HS5s, they're kind of famous for not being that good, but that's the reason why they're good, because you're emulating kind of lower quality hi-fi speakers with this, which you want your audio to sound good on all devices, so you want to check your audio on different devices. So if you do want a second pair of monitors, Yamaha HS5s are kind of the standard. Budget monitors, the Presonus Eris. So Presonus make the software Studio One, but they also make some hardware gear. They make some great monitors actually, and their Eris range are good ones to choose. Next one's the M Audio AV42. These are more consumer level ones, so more for kind of listening to music or connecting to your Xbox or PlayStation, but they can be useful for monitoring audio as well. Headphones, so the Beyerdynamic DT770s, I've got some here. These are the 250 ohms, so the 250 ohms really need a headphone amplifier, so I only really recommend getting this if you have an audio interface. If you just plug in directly into your laptop or computer, you probably want the 80 ohms. These have these red on the side, which means they have a limiter as well, so these are a 99 dB limiter. Because I'm always messing around with audio, messing with a mixer, turning the audio up really loud by accident, I was damaging my ears slightly, so this will limit the audio. So if I accidentally put the audio too loud, it'll limit it, it'll stop it getting above 99 dB, which is useful if you do a lot of audio work or live audio work and you're messing around with audio all the time. These can be useful. The next one is the Beyerdynamic DT990s. These are open back, so if you're going to be recording audio and monitoring audio at the same time, don't want open back headphones, you will want closed back headphones. Going back to the 770, these are closed, but the 990s, audio or sound will come out of them when you listen to audio, so not good for monitoring or recording audio, but good for mixing audio. The next one is the Sennheiser's HD25s, these ones here. These are kind of the standard live sound ones, especially for audio engineers, because they're super closed back. So you can wear these and you're not going to get much bleed, not going to get much sound out of there. So good for kind of live sound or live recording scenarios. However, the Beyerdynamic ones are really comfortable if you wear glasses, because I do wear glasses on the computer a lot. So these are really comfortable. These ones are not comfortable if you wear glasses, so just bear that in mind. Okay, so now let's have a look at some other audio monitoring tips. The first one is to listen on different speakers. So if you're mixing music or you're mixing audio, you definitely want to listen and test your audio or music on different speakers. But even if you're recording audio, you still want to listen and test your audio on different speakers. Because like I said before, you want to get the highest quality audio possible before you mix it. So people listening to your videos or listening to your audio aren't going to have the same speakers or same monitors as you. They're not going to be in the same environment. They're not going to be in the same room. So really want to test your audio on as many different speakers as possible. So if your audio sounds good on all these speakers, you know it's going to sound good. Not everyone's going to have studio monitors. People may be listening on the phone, on an iPad, on a Bluetooth speaker. So you want to test your audio on those different devices as well and make sure it sounds good. The next one is you can use something called Sonarworks Reference. So what this does is this actually kind of measures your room and with a microphone. So you play a tone out of your speaker, or many different tones out of your speaker, and then you record this with a microphone. The software tells you exactly how to do it, but what it does is it calibrates your speakers to match your room and listening environment, because your speakers or your monitors aren't always correct. They do add coloration. They can change the sound of your audio, and where you're sitting in your room and the listening environment, how you've treated your room, all affects how your audio sounds. So Sonarworks Reference allows you to kind of calibrate and measure your room, measure your speakers, and get it sounding as correct as possible. So that is a little tip. That's what I use to make sure my audio sounds as correct as it can. Next thing is compare your audio to pro audio recordings or use a reference track. So you can use my audio recordings if you want, or anyone online that you think has good quality audio. You will listen to their audio and compare yours to them. Why does their audio sound so good? What can you do to make your audio better? So if their audio sounds dramatically better, you kind of want to backwards engineer and work out why does that audio sound so much better. A lot of these YouTubers have a list of the different equipment they use. You can have a look at that. You can look at their studio tours. A lot of them have studio tours. So what room treatment have they got? What microphones have they got? Where they're placing their microphone. But for recording audio and monitoring audio, you want to work out those basic things: room treatment, what gear they got, and also how are they speaking into the microphone, or where's the microphone placed. But yeah, compare it to someone that sounds great. In music terms, we call it a reference track, but use a reference track so you can get your audio sounding really good, but make sure you use a reference track, or make sure you reference someone that has high quality audio. Okay, so in the next section, we're going to be looking at where to actually record your audio. So we're going to be looking at audio recording software or digital audio workstations. I'll also show you the basics of setting up a handy recorder. So in the next video, I'll go over the pros and cons of some of my preferred digital audio workstations or audio recording software. Hi there, and welcome to this video where I'm going to talk about audio recording software or digital audio workstations that I've used. So here is a list of the recommended ones. I'm going to go over the pros and cons of each of these coming up soon. So firstly, we have ScreenFlow. This is a really versatile piece of audio recording and video recording software. I actually use this the most out of all of the pieces of software we're going to be talking about. So ScreenFlow is really great for any tutorials. So if you're making any tutorials about software or where you want to capture the screen of your computer, ScreenFlow is absolutely awesome. It isn't free, but it is good value for the price. It's around about $100, and it can actually record your microphone, the screen, the computer audio, and a USB webcam all at the same time. And you can actually edit this in ScreenFlow as well. So you can record it all in ScreenFlow and edit in ScreenFlow. ScreenFlow also allows you to capture an iOS device, so you can capture an iPhone or an iPad as well if you wish. Okay, so that is the pros. Now let's have a look at some of the cons of ScreenFlow. Firstly, it's quite limited for audio processing and mixing. So I personally mix my audio in another piece of software and then I import it into ScreenFlow because the audio processing in there is quite limited. So if you're an advanced audio engineer or audio mixer, you may not wish to use ScreenFlow for mixing audio. The next con is it is Mac only. So if you are a Windows user, you won't be able to use ScreenFlow. Also, there is no free version of ScreenFlow. There is only the paid version. Okay, now let's look at Camtasia, which is quite similar to ScreenFlow. So the pros of Camtasia is, again, similar to ScreenFlow. This is really great for recording screencast tutorials. And again, you can record your microphone, the screen, the computer audio, and a USB camera all at the same time. And Camtasia is for Mac and Windows, which is great as well. The cons, though, is, again, you have some limited audio processing and mixing similar to ScreenFlow. And the other con is it is more expensive than ScreenFlow. Okay, so ScreenFlow and Camtasia, we're really for creating screencast tutorials. Now let's have a look at some audio recording software specific to recording audio. Firstly, let's look at Adobe Audition, which is a pro-level audio recorder and editor. So Adobe Audition is great if you use Premiere Pro to edit your videos, as you can quickly link Premiere Pro and Adobe Audition together, so you can swap between the two to edit your audio and then edit your videos. Next pro is Adobe Audition is part of the All Apps bundle, so if you're already paying for the All Apps bundle, Audition will be included in this. Okay, now let's look at some of the cons. Firstly is it will require monthly payments to actually use Adobe Audition. And nextly, there is no free version of Adobe Audition. This is paid software, but it is pro level. So it really depends on how much you want to spend, but Adobe Audition is pro level, and in my experience, it is really good. Okay, next is Logic Pro 10, which is great for recording audio and mixing audio. This is a digital audio workstation, and it was really designed to create music, but you can record and mix audio in here as well. This is actually my preferred way to mix audio is in Logic Pro 10, but for recording audio, it's fantastic as well, and it is a pro-level DAW or digital audio workstation. The other great thing about Logic Pro 10 is it comes with a load of stock plugins, so things like EQ, compression, de-esser, limiter, meter, all the stuff really you need to mix high-quality audio. Logic Pro is a one-off price. It isn't free, unfortunately, but for the price, I believe it's great value for money. Logic Pro also comes with the Apple Loop library, which is thousands of audio clips. These are all royalty-free as well, which you can use in your music, but you can also use in your videos as well. So a lot of these are musical loops, but it also includes a lot of sound effects as well you can use for your videos if you wish. And again, as Logic Pro 10 is a digital audio workstation, you can make music with this software. Okay, so the main cons of Logic Pro 10, in my opinion, is it's Mac only and there is no free version. Okay, now let's look at Audacity. So this is a free recorder and editor, and it is available for Mac and Windows. The cons of it though is it is quite limited and pros wouldn't mix in here, but it's okay if you just want to capture or record audio. Okay, now let's look at Pro Tools, and the main pro of Pro Tools is this is a pro-level DAW. If you ever go to any recording studios, they'll mostly be using Pro Tools. So Pro Tools is for Mac and Windows, and it has a lot of great stock audio plugins included, and it allows you to do some really advanced audio editing. Pro Tools does offer a free version called Pro Tools First, and again, you can make music with this software. Okay, so the cons of Pro Tools is it can be quite expensive to buy outright. Pro Tools does offer a monthly subscription, but I know a lot of people don't want a monthly subscription. They do want to buy the software outright. Like I said, Pro Tools does have a free version called Pro Tools First, but it is quite limited compared to the full version. So the full version of Pro Tools is very powerful, is what the pros use, but it is quite expensive. Okay, next is Studio One. This is a very powerful DAW, and again, this is for Mac and Windows. So this does include loads of great pro-level audio plugins, so if you want to record your audio and mix your audio, Studio One is one to consider as well. Studio One does have a free version of the software, and you can make music in Studio One as well. But the cons, however, is the free version is quite limited for mixing audio. Okay, now let's look at Ableton Live, which is a pro-level DAW. This again is for Mac and Windows, and the full version of Ableton Live includes loads of great plugins for mixing audio. So you do have different versions of Ableton Live at different price points, and again, you can make music in the software. Okay, now let's look at the cons. So the intro or light version of this software is quite limited in terms of audio plugins for mixing audio. The full version is much more powerful and has loads of different plugins, but this is a lot more expensive than the intro or light version of this software. Okay, now let's look at GarageBand. This is free, it's perfectly fine for recording audio, and again, you can make music in the software if you wish. The cons are it's Mac only, and again, it is quite limited in terms of mixing audio in the software, but for recording audio, it's fine. Okay, so that was some pros and cons of some different audio recording software or digital audio workstations. It really depends on if you want to mix your audio as well, or you just want this software to record your audio. Also depends on your budget and how serious you want to take this. It also depends on what software you already use and what type of videos or recordings you want to make. So for example, if you want to make screencast tutorials, so you want to record your screen, I recommend either ScreenFlow or Camtasia. If you're a Mac user, I recommend ScreenFlow because it is a bit more inexpensive, but if you're a Windows user, I recommend Camtasia. It also depends on if you want to mix audio in the software or just record audio. If you just want to record audio, I recommend one of the free pieces of software, so it could be GarageBand, Audacity, Studio One Prime, or Pro Tools First. However, if you want to record and mix audio, I recommend having a look at one of the pro-level pieces of software, as they have more functions and features for mixing audio. So this could be the full version of Pro Tools, Studio One, Logic Pro 10, Adobe Audition, or Ableton Live. Also, if you're a video maker and you're already using Premiere Pro, I recommend considering Adobe Audition, as this works really well with Premiere Pro. Okay, so that's my opinion of some different audio recording software or digital audio workstations that I've used. I hope you found this video useful, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, so now let's have a look at a couple of different handy recorders. So a handy recorder can be a useful way to record your audio, and it stops you actually recording your audio with software. You can just record your audio directly into these handy recorders. So you don't need an audio interface as well. And a lot of these handy recorders have a built-in microphone, and other handy recorders allow you to add multiple microphones. This handy recorder I've got over here is the Zoom H6, and this allows you to add up to 4 microphones, and you have a capsule on top as well. And the other handy recorder is the Zoom F1. So with this one, you can't actually add any additional microphones, but it does allow you to add a capsule on top. So I have a shotgun capsule and an XY microphone capsule on the Zoom H6. So these are really a useful way of actually recording audio, especially if you're out and about. So they're handy recorders because they are, to be honest, quite handy. So they're also called field recorders because you can be out on the field, so out of the studio, out on location, and you can record audio. I find them especially useful if I want to record audio with video. So I don't need to take a laptop or an audio interface with me. I can just take one of these handy recorders if I have my camera. Of course, many cameras allow you to plug in a microphone, but I do find the audio quality is better on one of these handy recorders than actually plugging a mic directly into the camera. For example, this Zoom H6 here is especially handy if you want to record any podcasts, as this allows you to add up to 4 microphones as well as a capsule on top. The Zoom F1, however, is very useful as it's very small, and this is the one I use if it's just me speaking on the camera and I'm out of the studio. And like I said, you can plug microphones into the Zoom H6, but if it's just you talking, you could have a look at the F1. And they both record onto SD card, and then you can plug this SD card into your computer and edit the audio there. You can also attach these handy recorders to shock mounts and tripods, which I have done here. Because really you don't want to have your hands on the handy recorder when you're recording, as this can pick up additional unwanted noise. You can also attach headphones to these handy recorders, which allows you to monitor the audio in real time whilst you're recording. So this can be useful for podcasts, so you can hear yourself or the guest back in real time whilst you're recording. You can actually use many handy recorders as an audio interface as well. So you can plug them into the computer via USB, so you can record the audio into your computer with these handy recorders too if you wish. Okay, so I just wanted to show you a couple of handy recorders. I hope you found this video useful, and I'll see you in the next one. Hi there, and welcome to this behind the scenes video. I'm going to show you the audio equipment I've been using to record this class. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is the microphone. So the microphone I've been using is a shotgun microphone. So this is this mic here. So this is the Sennheiser 416. So the reason I use this mic is because it's a cardioid shotgun mic and I can have it out of shot. I've got it on this Rode PSA stand, so I can quickly adjust this so it's out of shot. So the microphone's not too far away, around about 20 centimeters away from my face when I record a video, and it's out of the shot. So this microphone is connected via XLR, and then this XLR cable goes down to my outboard gear over here. Okay, so this is the outboard gear that I use. So this is a preamp, an EQ, and a compressor. So I do actually have an audio interface over here. So this has preamps on it. However, I like the sound of this preamp here, this Earthworks 521ZDT. It's a really nice, clean sounding microphone preamp. And after that, I go to this EQ. This is the Radial Q3. So this allows me to sculpt the frequencies of my audio. And then I go into a compressor, which is the Aphex Comp 800. So I can add compression and EQ in the software, but I like to get my audio sounding as good as possible before it goes into the computer. And then this has 2 outputs, and one of the outputs goes to my audio interface. So this will then convert the analog signal to digital so I can record in my computer. And the other output actually goes over to my mixer, which is this here. So with this, I can monitor myself back in real time. So this mixer isn't anything special really. It just allows me to have multiple inputs in here. I can monitor myself back with my headphones. And the headphones I use are these ones here, the Beyerdynamic 770s. They have the red on them, which means I have a 99 dB limiter. Because I'm always messing around with audio, I can sometimes damage my hearing if I have the audio too loud. So this just limits the audio at 99 dB to make sure I don't damage my hearing. One other thing to mention is this Radial Gold Digger over here. So this is actually a microphone selector. So this allows me to plug 4 microphones into this, but just have one output. So I can have 4 mics going into this, but just use the one bit of outboard gear. So I actually use 4 different microphones. Okay, the monitors I use are these here, the Genelec 8010A. So the reason I use these is, if you'll notice here, I have 3 monitors or screens. So I actually use 2 monitors when I'm recording, and then I have another monitor which I use for testing the software and testing ideas out. So because I have these 3 monitors here, I don't have much space These Genelecs are great because they're small, they fit under my screens here and still sound really good. So these, in my experience, are great desktop monitors. It may sound slightly better if I have larger monitors on the stand behind, but these sound pretty good. So I have a MIDI keyboard here. This isn't anything to do with recording audio. This is for the music software stuff that I do. Then because I have two computers, I actually have two trackpads, two keyboards and two mice. Got a small fan over there, USB fan, which I don't use when I'm recording audio, but that's useful if it gets too hot. Okay, let's have a look at some of the other microphones. So going up here, I have Shure SM7B. So this microphone is useful if I'm recording any podcasts or videos, or when I want to have the mic in shot. The thing about this mic is it looks cool, so I don't mind having it in shot because it's quite a slick looking microphone. Okay, another microphone I have at the back here is the Slate ML1. So this allows me to emulate a lot of popular microphones. You will have to use software to actually emulate the microphones, but I use this for singing really, or for any music work. It's a condenser microphone, but it can sound great, but I don't really use it for any tutorials or audio for video, more for music work. And then we have my Electro Voice RE20. I actually use this microphone the most, so I use this for my tutorials, any screencasts, so when I don't use the camera, I mostly be using this microphone. Sounds really good in my voice. I've been using this mic for many years and I really like it. You'll notice as well on the wall I have all of this foam. So this is to help deaden the sound of the room, to get rid of some of the reverb and echoes of the room. I also have acoustic panels on the wall to help reduce some of the echoes or reverb of the room. Okay, so now let's talk about some of the software that I use. So to record audio, if I'm doing a talking head video, so video of my camera, I will be using Logic Pro 10. So this is a DAW, a digital audio workstation for Mac only, but I've been using this for many years. It's a great one for recording audio. If I'm editing videos, I will use Premiere Pro. This is for Mac and Windows. It's pro level video editor. You have some audio editing features in there as well. But if you want to dive a bit deeper, you can use Adobe Audition, but I personally like to use Logic Pro. And if I'm recording screencast tutorials, I'll use ScreenFlow. So this allows me to record the audio from my computer, the audio from my mic, and also if you're using a USB webcam, you can record that as well. ScreenFlow, however, is Mac only. An alternative you can use is Camtasia. So the Camtasia is for Windows and Mac. Okay, so that is my audio recording software. Another thing to mention is my camera. I am using a Sony mirrorless camera. And I also have this Elgato light. So this light up here, and I can turn this on and off via my computer. Okay, so now let's have a look at my computer. I use a Mac Pro, and this computer is actually in a cupboard. And when I'm recording my videos, I actually close the door of my cupboard to try and reduce any fan sound, because the computer fan can get quite noisy, especially if I'm using any software. And I have a big long cable that goes all the way across my room, so my computer is as far away from my microphone as possible because I don't want to pick up any of that computer fan sound. Same with my hard drives. My hard drives are in this cupboard as well, and the Mac Mini, which I use as a second computer. So that's one little tip, is put your computer in a cupboard and close the doors when you record. However, remember to open the doors up when you're not recording because you don't want your computer to overheat and you do want to get some circulation in there. But that's what I do, just to reduce that computer fan sound. Okay, so that is a behind the scenes tour of my audio recording setup. I do have a few other things for my video as well, such as this backdrop here of some keyboards. I also have a light that I can turn on at the back, this red light, and I have some pop-up backdrops as well that I use just to make the room look a bit slicker and tidier. Okay, so I hope you found this behind the scenes video useful. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Okay, we're now at the end of this class, and I hope you found it useful. And now I want you to use some of the tips and techniques that I taught you to improve your audio recordings. So for your class project, I want you to write a paragraph about what you actually did to improve your audio recordings, including room treatment, what microphone you used, and microphone position. So thanks again for watching. I hope you found it useful, and bye for now.